Well, the mouthpieces will be flying this weekend.
Oh, what a great segue. God,
Well, in
wonderful.
Tommy's mind every time. The Kansas City Chiefs are playing the Texans at home. Ty Bo will be there. Let's go. The Chiefs are 3.5 point favorites. At one point earlier on this week, I believe it was Monday, the Chiefs were underdogs in this game by more
You.
than 2 points. That flipped really quickly as soon as they found out Patrick Mahomes was actually going to play. We'll get to that, but yeah, the Texans coming
He
into
shouldn't.
Kansas City, going to be playing the Chiefs. With the second game in our 11-day window of 3 games. So a lot of injuries. It doesn't seem like DJ Humphries is going to be playing again this week. It is not
We may never
expected.
see him again.
It is
Oh,
expected
come on.
that he will be back for the Broncos game. I
I
had
sure
heard
hope
some
so.
rumors that it was possible that they could have placed him on IR for 4 weeks, but he would not have had the ability to practice because once you go on IR, you can't practice. He wouldn't have gotten the reps that he needed, wouldn't have been able to be around the team as much. So this way, they're keeping him off IR. He can practice, get the reps in, get healthy, be ready for week 18. That's when they against the Broncos, when they think he'll be ready, and then go into the playoffs with that additional extra week of rest should we get the number one seed. Um,
And that was kind of a tweak or a re-injury
it
of the
was it was
existing one, the
no,
one
that
that
was
kept him out,
no,
or
that was a torn ACL that he had. So he
oh,
came back from the torn ACL, but I believe the hamstring tweak that he did in his first game was the same leg. So
gotcha.
it's definitely possible that what was the main
Complications from that that could
complications
affect, yeah,
because of trying to overcompensate the way that you're leaning, moving. I did feel like his stance was a little wonky, but I honestly hadn't watched enough tape of DJ Humphries to really determine if that was a normal pass set for him.
sure.
But it is expected that he's going to be out, so Joe Tooney's still going to stay sliding left to the left tackle position. We'll keep playing Mike Caliendo at the left guard position. It seemed to work pretty much last week. The left side was not a problem. The right side with Jawan Taylor was clearly a problem, and will continue to be so, even if we get help out there to chip on the right side, which does scare me a little bit in this matchup against the Texans because of how good that defensive line and pass rush is, especially with is that
Daniil Hunter.
Daniil Hunter and the rookie from last year, Will
Will
Anderson.
Anderson. Yeah.
Junior, right? Or is he
Junior.
the fourth?
You tell me, Sean, since you want to correct us.
Well, let me look that up for you, buddy.
Oh,
No,
I'm expecting
it's
a Blitzfest.
Damn it, it's Junior.
Blitzfest
it's
this
Junior.
week here.
Good thing you can't find yourself for being wrong.
No, the one game, the one full game where we've had Joe Tooney slide out and Caliendo play guard, the running game suffered as far as yards per carry.
Yeah, no, it did.
So that's concerning to me when I've sat here and said, simplify the game, hammer 12 and 13 personnel, hammer the
All
run
year.
game, hammer our best three guard center guard combo up front. When we move Tooney out, our only game of evidence for this is the Browns game, but our running game suffered, and I would like to see that mitigated in ways that help out Joe Tooney, that just kind of mix it up to make the defense just be off guard even in the run situation. Like when we know we're going to run the ball, we need to be able to have something that kind of catches them off guard to get that 4 yards per carry mark that is what we need.
The real interesting piece about that is Mike Caliendo is actually one of the highest rated by PFF ranking systems. We all know how messed up that is, but
Boo.
uh, Mike Caliendo was PFF graded one of the best interior offensive linemen last week, pass blocking and run blocking. So that doesn't seem to be that Mike Caliendo was necessarily the issue, though he is no Joe Tooney. I do think it may have a combination to do with play calling and just familiarity with being able to go out there and play. And what I mean by that is the Chiefs are very much structured into a zone run offense. You take your 2, 3 zone steps, move left, move right, whatever that is. I would, if we're going to implement running game, which I think can work because the Browns rush defense is also actually very good. It's just their pass defense that's not as good. Um,
Did you say
I think,
Browns? Hold up.
yeah, I said because we were
He's referencing the
referencing
last game.
the
Oh,
last
okay,
game,
okay, okay.
right? So because that's the only game of reference we have with Mike Caliendo and then
Mhm.
Joe Tooney at left tackle. We're so much of a zone run team. I'm wondering if going into somewhat of a power would actually benefit a little bit better. Getting Patrick Mahomes underneath the center. The one thing that's scary about that is Pat can get his feet stepped on, which that's going to be the area of concern
I mean,
given
you can
angles
run
and that
power out of the
you
shotgun formation.
That's
do
a
that as
whole other
well.
issue as a Chiefs fan,
But
man. I don't want to see Pat play in this game.
Yeah, that
I
is a whole
no,
different issue.
we'll
I
we'll
do
get
think
there.
though, Ty Bob, I think it's an attitude thing though. Like you've listed like all these things that you said Caliendo, right?
Yeah, Mike
Am I saying
Caliendo.
that?
Yeah.
Caliendo, like you're saying all these stats about Caliendo and everything like that. It could really just be an attitude thing. It could be that he's got a different attitude about blocking as a guard than
Could
Joe
be.
Tooney does. And
I
that's
mean,
all it really could be. Like he could be grading fine. I mean, you could grade just as well as the other tackle, guard, or center, but like
it's how far you're
they
getting
could have
that
more
defensive lineman
pancakes.
off the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, it's
When it
about
comes down to the run game, it's how far are you moving them? And I
what's that
would say this
attitude. You have to have an attitude to do that, though. You know.
exactly. And I would say this: it was also Mike Caliendo's first ever start
True.
in the
Yeah. Well.
NFL.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, there's
A
a
little
lot of give
nervous.
and take with that. I think I would like to see Pat Mahomes run power this week.
Hmm.
I would like to see weak formations. I'd like to see I form. I think that adds a little extra layer of protection. It's not going to happen. He's going to drop back and throw the ball 50 times because that's what Andy Reid likes to do. But what I think could benefit us most for protection for Patrick Mahomes and work within, like get in, get out, kind of like we said against the Browns, run the ball. We also have to do that effectively. And given the passing wasn't effective against the Browns, this Texans defense is still very, very formidable. The front line is going to get depth against our offensive line, regardless if it's run or pass. I would just like to see that extra layer of protection, getting two guys in the backfield for blocks and for protection.
Yeah, and it's essentially just playing what's in front of you. We have the deficit at left tackle where we have to have Joe Tooney slide out, and we have to play to the strengths of the guys that we are playing. And that, to me, if we really want to hammer the pass like Andy Reid is known for, it's got to come out quicker.
It's got to be fast.
There's got to be some schemes. There's got to be some plays dialed up that gets the ball out of Pat's hand quicker than it has been. Because without that, he doesn't get into a rhythm and he stays feeling uncomfortable and he stays being on the move and he stays trying to do too much to compensate for the lack of structure.
Hmm.
And that, I mean, essentially how it's been going all year, we've skated by, and we need to start correcting some of these issues going into the playoffs if we really want to have some confidence, in my opinion.
Hmm.
So would this be a perfect game for him to just hook up with Travis Kelsey very early on in the game, like 5 to 10 times in the first half, get him rolling a
I
little bit, get some easy passes to him?
I would say this. I think that's a very key point of what should be going on in this game. But I think even more leverage to what Tybo was saying is looking back over the last couple of weeks, the scheme of the offense being run is going for a little bit longer routes. We're talking deep, quick slants. So they're not
We're
actually
still
quick slants,
we're still
Because
up
you
there
guys
as
bitch
far
about
as
the
those
lack of
deep
explosive
attacks.
plays.
which is that's fair. That's
And we
fair.
can
That's
we
what we're
can bitch
used to.
about that, especially when the offense is trying for them and they're not happening. If we would have a different scheme and have some shorter dialed up plays, shorter routes, quicker balls coming out of Pat's hands, there would be less of a aggravation in that sense.
Well, and
Some more
where
Rasheed Rice routes
yes,
behind the
and
line
that's
of
kind of where
scrimmage.
I was going is we're actually throwing out a little bit longer form routes out there in the scheme in which we're trying to play. And what Pat is actually trying to do is get the ball out very quickly. The problem is these long form routes take a little bit longer to develop. He can't get the ball out quickly because they're not in a point of the route where they can get the ball. And sometimes he's throwing it early, especially the D hop, who is always looking for the ball at any point in his route. But the reason why there were so many dropped passes is because Pat's trying to get the ball out because he's got somebody in his face, and we're running too deep of routes. We need to run those quick routes, and I think Xavier Worthy can be a big piece in that. He has been much more reliable over the last few weeks since we were kind of critical about his play, about 4 or 5 weeks ago. Since then, he's really stepped up, become reliable, and I think he can easily slip into that Rashee Rice role a little bit more, where there's yards after catch. Hit him kind of in those quick slants. Let's have him run some unders. Let's have him run maybe even some bubbles. I
See,
think that could
Xavier's
really
he's
be
been
good.
doing that recently, but the main thing that's been catching him up is the shoestring tackles. He just gets tackled by
Yeah,
just nothing at all, falls down. Rasheed was breaking those and getting through there. If
Well,
he
and
He
if he
definitely
gets
was.
through those
Yeah.
tackles, he is gone though.
Well, dude, I think so. Two things I thought of. One, and I can't believe I haven't thought of this earlier. But I think who the fuck is on your practice squad? Any notable names right now? Anybody?
no,
Justin
because
Ross,
they've all been brought up
Yeah,
to
your
is he still
practice
active?
squad, your practice,
Justin Ross.
anybody who has
Justin
been
Ross is
on
on the
your
practice
practice
squad.
squad at any point throughout the year probably doesn't need to come back next year. Because this is what it is. Like you were saying it, like you've been doing the longer routes, right? You've been running longer routes, but Pat's been trying to get the ball out quick because he hasn't had time. But the thing is, if you know you're not going to have time, you're not going to practice and game plan for those longer routes. So those fucking scout teams suck. And that means that you guys are doing your job at practice and it's working against the scout team. They're game planning for it. And then you get to the game and it's like, oh, fuck, these guys are a little bit better than our goddamn scout team. They're playing a little bit harder. And now you can't, now you're getting the ball out quick. Your game plan kind of fucking sucks because the timing's off because you've had time during the week when you get to the game. I've witnessed this before on teams. Like this is a
Well,
very real thing that can happen. Like
I
because
think
you
I'd
guys are
also
sitting here and like you've this game plan keeps showing up, it doesn't work, and you win in close games. Like what the fuck else could it be? Really,
I think I
really,
would also
what else
point
could it
out
be?
that the professional practice squad scout teams are also much different than your Division II NAIA.
Oh
Unless you're the
no,
Giants and you
absolutely,
have
absolutely.
Daniel
No, no,
Jones
no,
who's
no, no.
playing the
You're
safety
you're totally
position.
right. You're
Like
totally right.
I'm in
You're
the same
totally right.
position as you. Those are totally different than the professional level, but maybe there is a little bit of credence to what you're saying in that I won't fully disagree, but there is a fairly large difference between the two.
Yeah, but there's a pretty large difference between like fucking Aiden Hutchinson and a practice squad defensive end. There's a pretty large difference there. There's probably a pretty big difference between an NFL starter and an NFL practice squad guy.
yeah, we just have games worth of data that I feel like Andy Reid and our coaching staff is continuing to ignore. That we are going for the deep pass. We're setting up a lot of deep routes, and Pat and our receivers aren't quite on the same page with that.
You
Pat's
guys
been
are thinking about it
overthrowing.
all wrong. You guys are thinking about it all wrong. Andy is just going out there seeing what doesn't work right now, so he knows not to use that in the playoffs.
You're
Process of
fucking nuts,
elimination.
dude.
And
I
Fucking
coming out and
nuts.
winning games with it. You know
Sure.
what? If that's what is actually happening, how you go 13-1 by just using process of
No, no,
elimination
no. If that's
is
actually true,
absolutely
he's the greatest
insane.
of all time. He's the greatest of all time if that's 100% true, without a doubt.
Just wait for the playoffs. He's gonna pull some
I
crazy shit out
swear
of
to
his
God,
ass.
if word gets out like 10 years from now that he was fucking winning games by doing the wrong thing, only to do the right thing and win games easily in the playoffs, that's not even
Well,
chess versus checkers at
we
that
can
point. Like that's
we'll
something
be able to
else.
see it in a couple of weeks, Tommy. If we start putting up 50 points in the playoffs, like
Yeah,
we're
no,
just
like
going to be able to see it right away.
if you
Ch-
miss the bye and
chugging
have to
along
play
with
in
the
wild
running
card
backs,
weekend,
throwing some play action. We're gonna hit D Hop on some deep ends
yeah,
off a Pacheco play
dude.
action, man.
Oh, I mean,
Like
it's gonna happen. Just watch
Yeah,
out.
no. Yeah, yeah. If you guys miss the bye and have to play in wild card weekend, you're dropping 60 on whoever it is you play. And that poor fucking team, it doesn't matter who it is.
Just be thankful it's not the Raiders.
I mean, yeah, it's one thing to lose to the Chiefs, it's another to lose to the Chiefs in the playoffs. Not that would ever happen, but
Not like you make it to do
yeah, no, we're not going to make it. We're
he's
not going to get to
conceding.
that point.
that.
If we did get to that point and we lost, that's even worse than just losing to you guys. Losing to you in the playoffs to end the season is always worse than just losing.